Like a lot of people, from the time I was born, I grew up in a family that was very, very religiously devout. We were Catholics in New York, Brooklyn, and Long Island, and went to church regularly, never missed it. And we went through all of the procedures and, First Communion and confession. And I went to Catholic schools through elementary school and high school and even college. And so I've always been kind of submerged in the practices of that faith system, Catholicism. But after college, I just kind of drifted away. I got drafted into the Army and was in the reserves, and so I just had other activities I was involved in. But over the years, I kind of came back to at least questioning what was it that I feel about the whole topic of religion and faith practice. I know so many people, I've encountered them over the years, countless numbers, who have a gag response when they think about religion. Maybe they grew up like me in a house that was devoutly religious, but their experience was not warm and fuzzy. It was toxic or hurtful or judgmental. And so they turned away with a vengeance. And I've met more than my share of people for whom the idea of religion makes them gag. I get that. And so where do we land as Americans, even internationally, about faith practice? I've read surveys, of course, that X number of people, percentage of people consider themselves religious. Was shrinking for a long time. Now it's kind of stabilizing. But a higher percentage, a higher number, define themselves as spiritual. And so that made me curious. What is that to be spiritual? And it was when I was performing a comedy, and I did a one-man show in a theater here in Lafayette as a fundraiser. And I kind of had as my content, part of it, what I learned in graduate school at Columbia School of Social Work, that the mantra for diagnosis in mental health follows a track called biopsychosocial. You've heard of that. You first have to understand, is there something going on with the person biologically? Do they have a disability? Is it a brain function? And from there you then go to, okay, what is the impact of that on your psychology? Tell me about your mother. And then you go to social, which became a real passion of mine because I became immersed in the public health crisis of social isolation. So biopsychosocial. And the idea was that if you fix your social, if you have a good social support system, it will ameliorate some of your psychological problems, which in turn will facilitate health in your biology. So it's pretty good. And then in Columbia, in my second year, wow, the professor said, you need to add another piece to that, biopsychosocial spiritual. And we were like in the class going, this is in New York City, what? And we were a mixture of people like me, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, whatever, in graduate school. And she said, well, actually, no, it's a factor because a lot of the people who you'll see to help are people for whom their religious practice is elemental and a critical part of their life. And you have to address that. So biopsychosocial spiritual. And then the idea is that, well, how do you define what's spiritual? And my wife, my good old brilliant wife, Dr. Sally, we talked about it, and she came up with the idea, not really, it's in the research, that what is spirituality? What is spirit? And we came to the conclusion that it basically is what animates you. Your spirit is what animates you. It's your energy. And I thought, oh, that makes good sense. So biopsychosocial spiritual is your energy. And if your energy flags, it kind of becomes an impediment to getting involved in social systems and on and on and on through the chain. And I thought that was really a great way to do it. And she came up with the notion that one of the heroes of animation was Walt Disney. Walt Disney took something that was inert, just a picture on a paper, and through a process animated it and made it come to life. Mickey Mouse and Goofy and everyone else. And I thought, boy, that really is a good handle for me. So a lot of people who say they're spiritual are zeroed in healthfully and appropriately on their energy, their animation, which in turn helps them to get connected to people. You start going back on that track and you still run into a fence and a problem with organized religion. I'm not a fan of organized religion, although I'm in an organized religious system. My God, I even became an ordained minister. So I understand the roadblocks and the tensions of this. And my passion and mission is to kind of unpack that and make a new way for people to participate in religious practices for the purpose of the theology, belief in God, existential reality, sure. But mostly it's to get connected. If you're part of a good faith community that focuses on the right stuff in the Christian system, love and service, and not show business or politics, you have a chance to be surrounded by people who will be there for you, will help you like an extended family. And in our culture, what is needed more urgently than more people having extended family? And if it's not your blood kin, like me, I'm one of 7 in our family, and we all split and went away, and for many years lived in 7 different states. So where you settle, how do you reconnect? And that's the story of the book I wrote with Glenn Sparks from Purdue, Refrigerator Rights. How many people in your life have you brought in to some level of intimacy for you that they can go into and be in your spaces privately and be happy? That's what we need. We need refrigerator rights. And religious practice done well can facilitate and become an opportunity for you. I hope this makes sense. I'll probably redo it. I may throw this away. I'm not sure. Okay, good. Have a good day. Bye.